Pots, Pans, and Pioneers. Today we're going to be making hush puppies. So, in this bowl, I have a cup of organic all-purpose flour. I have a cup of organic cornmeal, and it's the rough cut cornmeal. And I'm just going to mix this together. To that, I'm going to add some dehydrated onion, probably 2 teaspoons. I'm going to add some garlic powder, and I'm just going to shake what I think is going to work, but it's probably a teaspoon. I'm going to use some Cajun seasoning. And I'm just going to shake the amount I think. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of buttermilk powder. I'm going to add probably 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of baking powder. You want to make sure when you're buying baking powder that you're getting the aluminum free baking powder. You don't need to buy the brand that offers the aluminum, and all you have to do to find out is read the ingredients on the baking powder. Add a tablespoon of baking powder. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. I mix all of my dry ingredients together, or you could start with a huge, a bigger bowl, and you could just dump it all in at the same, you could put all the ingredients together at once, or you could add them like I do. Doesn't matter. Okay. I'm going to add pepper, black pepper. Okay, and then we're going to grab 1 egg and 3/4 of a cup of milk. A lot of people like to add cream corn to their hush puppies. So you could buy a small can of cream corn, and you could use 1/2 cup of milk and a small can, maybe 4 or 5 ounce can of cream corn to mix this together. They make wonderful hush puppies. If you like corn inside your hush puppy, awesome. If you don't, then you can eliminate the corn and just use the milk. Okay, so let's put this in a bigger bowl. You could even use, if you don't have fresh eggs on hand, because I know how expensive they're getting, you could use the egg powder. And you'll just want to follow your instructions for the one egg. At least you need to have at least 1 egg in here. Okay, let me grab the egg. I know these are jumbo eggs. That's just the eggs I buy. Someday I won't be buying eggs, I'll be going outside to get them, but right now that's not the case. Okay, and then I've got whole milk here. You could even use low fat or you could use half and half, low fat and whole milk together, just whatever. I've seen this recipe of hush puppy even made with coconut milk, so it does work. If you are lactose intolerant or you don't like milk at all, you could use coconut milk or even almond milk in this recipe. So I'm going to start with a half a cup of milk. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir it. Until I get the consistency of the hush puppy. You want your hush puppies to be thick. I'm going to just add as I go here, a little bit at a time. And I'll put the recipe on my blog so you can grab it. Okay. You want it thicker than pancake batters. You don't want it thin, because what's going to happen is for you to be able to drop these in the oil or the fat that you're using, you're going to need a really thick, batter. Gotta get all that batter out of there. And you want it to be thick, so this is not unusual. Now, I use a teaspoon to drop the hush puppies in the oil. Let the baking powder activate here. So I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes, and I'm going to get my oil. Go ahead and get your oil up to at least 375. That's what I use. I use a deep fry cooker on 375, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spoon like this full and use my finger, and that's how I'm going to drop them in the grease or the fat to cook them. And these are going to puff up and be really good flavored hush puppies. So let me get these setting aside and the oil heated up, and we'll be back and I'll show you how they turn out. Drop them. Now they're going to fall to the bottom first. And you want to get as close to the grease as you can without burning yourself, because if you drop it, and the grease will splash up and burn you. And don't get too close to the side of the pan. Okay. And I just fill them as many as I can get without overloading it, because the more hush puppy dough that you add to this, the more the temperature comes down. And you want to cook these on 375, or as close to between 350 and 375 as you can. And as you can tell, they're hitting the bottom, but as soon as they're hitting the bottom, they're puffing up. What I do is I just take a fork and I start to turn them. If you turn them after they've browned on one side, they're less likely to stay turned to the other side. You don't want to wait till they brown on one side and then turn them. They become heavy and they won't, turn. So I'm going to constantly, these are going to only take about 3 to 5 minutes to cook. And you just want to make sure and continue to flip them around as you see, because you want that dough to cook all the way around the hush puppy. Nobody wants to bite into a raw hush puppy. And they're getting brown. As you can see, they don't take long. Okay, these are about ready to come out. And I'm going to move my French fries over a little bit. Sunday being a football day, we just eat from the buffet. And that's about as brown as I like them. So I'm gonna drain them a little bit, make sure they're most all the fat is, you know, cooked off of them. And I do my hush puppies before I do my shrimp or my fish, because if you do your fish first or your seafood first, everything you put into this grease is going to taste like the fish or the seafood. So, all right, we'll let those cool. I'll load more, and then I'll take a hush puppy and cut it open for you. This recipe will make probably 20 hush puppies, depending on how big that you cook them. I'm using a teaspoon, but if you used a tablespoon, it'd probably make, you know, less. And I'm just literally scooping with my teaspoon. If you have a cookie scoop or something like that, it's a little harder because you're gonna have to make sure and get the dough out of it with the little mechanism that, you know, releases the dough. I've used that and it's not been efficient for me. Okay. As you can tell, they're already browning, so we want to make sure that we're flipping. Sometimes the short videos are not really educational because they leave out a lot of information that's really, really good. The best way you can succeed at learning to cook is watching the entire process and not just clips of the process. So, all right. Here is one of the hush puppies, and I'm just going to break it open so you can see how moist and delicious the hush puppies really are. They're really good. I hope you'll try this recipe. I'm going to post the recipe on my blog so that you can go and print it off and add it to your favorite recipe book. Thanks everybody for joining us, and be sure and make these hush puppies. They go with anything. They're a great substitute for French fries if you don't have potatoes. Thanks everyone.